Former IBF World Heavyweight Champion Charles Martin is on the comeback trail. He's had 2 fights now since losing his IBF title to Anthony Joshua last year. Those fights were against journeyman opposition. One of those was a 2nd round knockout back in April, and the last one was a few days ago, and it was a 1st round knockout. He is now being trained, interestingly, I find this interesting, by Javon Sugar Hill. For those of you who don't know, Sugar Hill is the nephew of the late great boxing trainer Emmanuel Stewart, and Sugar Hill is now the head honcho at the Crunk Gym in Detroit. So he has taken over from his late great uncle Manny Stewart. He also trains Adonis Stevenson, who's still the WBC light heavyweight champion. So Charles Martin has changed trainers. He's now with Sugar Hill. We'll see what Sugar Hill can do with him. He's had a couple of comeback fights. And his manager, called Mike Barral, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, had a few things to say about Charles Martin's comeback. He says that Charles Martin is aiming for a rematch with Joshua at some stage. So I'm going to quote Mr. Mike Barral. He says, "I still believe that when Charles is at his best, he can beat anybody. And Charles now wants to prove that more than ever. If you know boxing, you know he's not taking these fights for the money. He's taking them because he wants to get back to 100%. Next fight out, when we fight a top 15 opponent, you'll see him just about there. And when he's there, he's unbeatable. He wants to prove that to everyone. That's his motivation. And he understands that he's going to have to win another belt to lure Joshua back. That's all he cares about. Winning another title so he can fight Joshua again." So those are the words of Charles Martin's manager, Mike Barral. Says his fighter is targeting a Joshua rematch. I'm sure most of you have seen some of the videos that appeared over the past year or so in the wake of Martin's loss to Joshua. Videos of Charles Martin seemingly intoxicated on some type of substance or another, talking all types of gibberish to the camera. A lot of people have been speculating that maybe he's spent all the money already, which he made from the Joshua fight, because he made several million. But obviously the taxman has to see some of that money. His promoter has to see some of that money. His trainer, sparring partners, so on and so forth, they have to see some of that money. And the way some of these young kids live, God knows where the money actually went. So is this a money situation why he's coming back, talking about Joshua and all this other stuff, at least through his manager? Or does he genuinely have some ambition left in boxing and really believe he can actually do something? If Martin comes back and can turn himself into a legitimate contender, that's obviously going to reflect very good and very well on Anthony Joshua. If you go and look at Charles Martin's record, I've heard some people ridiculously say that Tom Dallas is the best name on Charles Martin's record. That's nonsense. He's got better names on his record than Tom Dallas. I'll just pick a couple of names out. You don't have a stellar resume or anything, don't get it twisted. But he's certainly got better names on there than Tom Dallas. Back in 2013, he fought Joey DeWayco. Joey DeWayco is actually a decent fighter. He's really a fat cruiserweight. He's got no business fighting at heavyweight, but he is actually a skilled operator. He can box. I believe he was world junior champion or something as an amateur. And he's a skillful fighter. He went the distance with Amir Mansour, for example. And that was a little bit of a tricky fight for Mansour. He had to outbox DeWayco and not get caught with any counter shots. So he had a decent win over DeWayco, who I would say is better than Tom Dallas. He also beat Kirsten Manswell. I believe Kirsten Manswell is from Trinidad, or he's from somewhere in the Caribbean anyway. Manswell was 24-8 when he fought Charles Martin. He also fought Rafael Zambano Love, who's a very tough Brazilian journeyman. Zambano Love fought Shannon Briggs. He fought Anthony Joshua, so on and so forth. Again, I would say he's tougher than Tom Dallas. Then he did fight Tom Dallas. And of course, he fought Glaskov, and he does have a win over Glaskov. Even though it was from an injury, he still got the win. Glaskov couldn't continue, and Glaskov, again, certainly a lot better than Tom Dallas. So he has a few fringe contender type names on his resume and a couple of tough journeymen. And I guess you could call Glasgow a fringe contender. I'll put him there. And since he's come back, as I say, he's fought a next couple of journeymen. So we'll see what happens with Martin when he steps it up. We'll see how serious he is. And we'll see how good he is, ultimately. It kind of sounds funny, but I remember when he lost to Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, when interviewed and asked about Martin's performance in that fight, he said Martin's shorts were too tight. His boxing trunks were too tight and they were restricting his movement. And it sounds funny, but Deontay Wilder was being serious. Now, I'm certainly not going to tell you that if he didn't have such restrictive tight shorts on, tight leather shorts, that he would have won the fight. No, but anything that restricts your movement like that in a boxing ring is not a good thing. And certainly them shorts he was wearing were several sizes too small against Anthony Joshua. Those tight leather shorts, God knows why he was wearing those. And from what I've seen of his comeback fights, he's actually got a proper pair of boxing trunks on now. Not those silly tight leather shorts that he was wearing before. So we'll see how much that helps his movement. So drop your comments in the comment section below, people. Let me know how you feel about Charles Martin's comeback. Can he do anything in the heavyweight division? Is he maybe a little underrated because of the ease in which Joshua dispatched of him? Or is he really as terrible as some people are making out? I guess we'll find out in due course. Let me know what you think in the comment section. It's happening. I'm out.